G'day, Rob here. Today I've got to fix the cistern. What usually happens when houses are built, they just bolt these cisterns straight to the plasterboard with a little plastic lug, and over time they can become loose. Sometimes I've even seen them pull right off and fall down. So what I'm going to do today is reinforce the wall and screw the cistern directly to the reinforced wall, which will make it last forever. First, uninstall. Turn the tap off. Have a jar ready. Catch the water that falls out of there and just drop your pipe into that. Unscrew this. Done. Now this should just pull straight off. Oh yeah, and always make sure you flush your toilet so there's no water left in the cistern. And that's it. Now, problem lies here. You can see that, yep, sure enough, all it is a couple of plastic little lugs in the wall. Yeah. Yeah. And over time, the plaster, because if you don't know what plaster's like, this is what it's like. All it is, it's like compacted powder. But once it gets brittle, it just disintegrates, and then so your little hole turns into a big hole pretty quick once it starts to get a little bit of room in there. When it's tight, it's good, can last a long time, but once it gets that little bit of movement, it doesn't usually take time for it to start boring a big hole. So what I'm going to do today, remove these plastic lugs, put in a couple of pieces of timber, screw the timber into the wall, and so the cistern can then just screw onto the timber. Now to do this, just need a couple of bits of timber. That'll do it. How to reuse that original screw. They weren't too bad, but it would definitely have been a problem in the future. Just looking at the back of the cistern, you see where it mounts. The lug kind of sits off, so it means I've got space to put screws underneath that. Try and avoid that line, even if I go there and there to give it some strength. So I want to go under. So probably a hole about there. And I'll probably put another hole around here. And just for the fun of it, I'll probably put another hole about here. Throw a screw in there for now, that'll just help hold it. you only want to flush up to the plaster. You don't want to go driving through it because you'll just make the whole area brittle. And that's the very last thing you want to do. Screw in there just to hold it so the wood don't move. Now what you want to do is grab your original screws. It's right here. Now we're going to mount them back in there. Right where they were. Going too far because you still got to put the system back on. Even support it a little. Now putting the cistern on is pretty much the same as taking it off. Just now, good time to check your rubber. Look, I've just changed this last week, so but whenever you play with stuff like this, it always pays to change out the rubbers because you don't want to disrupt this and then have it leak on you next week. There we have it. Now, while the cistern's still loose, do up your flush pipe nut. You just want to nip it up, don't do it up too tight, because if you strip any plastic off your cistern, well, guess what, you're up for a new cistern. Now just do them screws back up until she's nice and firm. Doesn't have to be super tight, just so it don't move. That's it. That is a strong, solid as a rock. It ain't going nowhere. Now this is also a good time to change this hose. If you run a flexi hose like this, they've got like a life of about 5 years. They recommend to change them out. If you haven't done yours in a while, you may as well do it. Okay. Available at Bunnings. Now they come with a date tag on them, so just put the day's date on it. Now inspect your thread. Let's give her a clean. Put some tape on it. And when installing tape, there's not much left on this one. Always go in the direction of the thread you're going to be putting on, so that you don't just unwind it. Another important thing is always make sure your thread don't go up beyond, the tape doesn't go up beyond the thread, because you don't want any of it coming off, going up and getting caught into the plumbing. Not so bad with these, but if you're doing like mixers, stuff, they have very fine filters on them, and a little bit of this tape is all it would take to block it up and ruin it. And they're not the cheapest or easiest things to fix. Now, it's usually a plastic thread on the receiving side, and it's got rubber in there, so I don't usually worry about taping it or anything. You'll know pretty quick if it's going to leak. Just make sure no cross threading. Usually hand tight's good enough, but my hands are a bit broken, so just tack up with just enough. Now just check everything, cistern's in, flush pipe's connected good. Also a good time to change the rubber on the flush pipe to the toilet if that needs doing. But just turn the tap back on nice and easy. Just look for leaks. In a minute. Solid as a rock. Done. Dry. Dry. All done.